So, who gets to write the rules for what is, let's face it, the most powerful technology of our lifetime? Right now, all around the world, there's this high stakes race happening to create the laws that will govern artificial intelligence. And this isn't just about code, it's about control, it's about values, and really, it's about defining our future. All right, let's get into it.
Here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll start with the huge philosophical problem AI brings up. Then, we'll look at the basic rules everyone's talking about. We're going to dive deep into Europe's groundbreaking AI Act, then compare the totally different ideas of the US and China. After that, we'll see how India is trying to find its own way. And finally, we'll ask the big question: what does this all mean for one single global rulebook? Okay, so let's start with the real heart of the issue. You see, this isn't just some technical challenge for engineers to solve. Nope, this is a massive philosophical question, and it forces us to confront some pretty uncomfortable truths. Just listen to this. This is a direct quote from Google's Lambda AI. When a machine, a piece of code, says it's scared of being turned off because it would be exactly like death, well, that just changes everything. The whole debate about AI governance suddenly becomes incredibly real and, frankly, pretty urgent. And that leads us straight to this question, which is really the elephant in the room. The biggest challenge in regulating AI isn't just about data privacy or biased algorithms. It's about autonomy. It's about its ability to make decisions on its own. As that line between human and machine intelligence gets blurrier and blurrier, we have to figure out who or what is ultimately calling the shots.
So, how do you even begin to answer that? Well, it looks like a consensus is starting to form around one foundational idea, what we can call the human first principle. The core of it is this: no matter how smart AI gets, humans have to stay in control. Period.
And this principle is being built on what are basically three fundamental rights. First, you have the right to know when you're talking to an AI and not a person. Simple enough, right? Second, you have the right to appeal a decision made by an AI to an actual human being. No computer says no allowed. And third, you have the right to take legal action, to litigate, if an AI causes you harm. These three pillars, they're the bedrock of pretty much every regulatory effort we're seeing.
And the first major power to really take that bedrock and build a whole legal house on top of it, that would be the European Union. They've really stepped up to become the world's first major AI rulemaker. And in doing so, they've set a precedent for the entire globe.
And you can see here, this was not some rushed, knee-jerk reaction. The EU AI Act was the result of a really deliberate 6-year journey. It started with expert groups, then ethical guidelines, white papers, all leading up to its formal adoption in 2024. They really took their time with this.
Now, their first idea was actually beautifully simple. It was this risk-based pyramid. Think of it like this: AI with minimal risk, like maybe a spam filter in your email, would have almost no rules. But as you go up the pyramid and the potential for harm increases, we're talking AI in self-driving cars or medical devices, the rules get way, way stricter. And at the very top, some uses were just banned outright as an unacceptable risk to society. But then, just as they were getting this all figured out, models like ChatGPT just exploded onto the scene. And these powerful general-purpose AIs, well, they broke the model. They didn't fit neatly into any one box on that pyramid. A single model could write a poem 1 minute and malicious code the next. And this just brilliantly shows how the regulators had to adapt on the fly. You see, the new pyramid keeps those original risk tiers, but it adds these 2 new horizontal layers that cut across the whole thing. These are for what they call general-purpose AI, or GPI, your ChatGPTs. They basically borrowed an idea from banking regulation. Now there are rules for the foundational models themselves, and the most powerful ones, the ones with systemic risk, they face the toughest rules of all. Okay, so the EU may have gotten the ball rolling, but they are definitely not the only ones in this game. This global race to write the rules is really being dominated by 3 giants, each with a completely different idea of how this should work: the European Union, the United States, and China. And the difference is stark. On one side, you've got the American approach, which is all about market-led innovation with as little government red tape as possible. And on the other, you have China's state-led model, where the Communist Party is firmly in the driver's seat, directing AI development to maintain social and political control. We're talking about 2 fundamentally different visions for the future. So let's break this down, because this isn't just about policy details. It's a clash of core values.
You have the EU, the rulemaker, whose #1 priority is protecting fundamental rights. Then you've got the US, the innovator, focused on staying #1 in tech by letting the free market run wild. And finally, China, the architect, using AI to design a society that prioritizes stability and state control above all else. And if you want to see that clash in black and white, look no further than this. Just compare the #1 ethical principle from each of their official documents. The EU's top principle: human agency and oversight. China's: harmony and friendliness. I mean, that one comparison tells you almost everything you need to know about how differently they see the world.
But hold on, because this isn't just a three-way race. There's a fourth, incredibly important player emerging: India. And it's trying to find its own unique path, a sort of middle ground. India's entire national strategy is called AI for All. And for them, the goal isn't just to compete with the big guys or to regulate for the sake of it. The whole point is to use AI as a tool to list people up, to drive inclusive economic growth, and to solve really specific on-the-ground challenges in things like healthcare, farming, and education.
And this isn't just a vision, they have a concrete plan to make it happen. It's called the Artificial Intelligence Indian Stack. The best way to think about it is like a national set of digital Legos. It gives both government and private companies the essential building blocks: data, tools, and rules, so they can build new AI solutions quickly and safely. It's a super pragmatic approach.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. You've got the EU's rights-first model, the US's market-first approach, China's state-first system, and India's development-first strategy, which brings us to the final and most critical question of all. Is there any way these totally different visions can ever come together? So here's the really interesting part. Yes, the divides are deep, but if you look underneath all the conflict, a set of common principles is actually starting to emerge everywhere. Turns out, pretty much everyone agrees we need things like accountability, transparency, and safety. The real fight isn't over what the principles should be, the fight is over how to enforce them and who gets to be the referee. Which leaves us with this final, massive question. Will this race to write the rules eventually lead us to a single global standard, kind of like a digital Geneva Convention for AI? Or are we heading for a future that's fractured by technology? A new kind of digital Iron Curtain, where different parts of the world operate on fundamentally different AI systems with different values baked right in. The answer to that is going